Hold on, say again. Cool. Hold on. Say that again. Do what? Do what? Yo, fish. Oh. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين اللهم انفعنا بما علمتنا وعلمنا ما ينفعنا اللهم زدنا علما إنك أنت عليم الحكيم اللهم اجعل هذه المحاضرة حجة لنا لا حجة علينا يا رب العالمين أما بعد. Today's class that we're going to be starting today, the class is called I Want to Be a Muslim. A person might ask, well, why did you pick a topic like this? All right. A topic like this is important because many of us accepted Islam through various journeys to becoming a Muslim. And so today, inshallah, I want to say about a week ago, we were blessed to go to Mecca to visit some of our professors and scholars that we studied Islam with. And they mentioned some things. They said, well, you guys make sure, focus on the basic fundamentals of being a Muslim. And in fact, we were surprised to learn that many of them follow a lot of our stuff online. And, we're a bit surprised about that. But not just that, they focus on some key things that are important. And I think that it's important that we remember where we came from. And so, having said that, a person might look at a person like myself or Saeed and say, mashallah, these brothers, they studied Islam and maybe they're better than me, et cetera, et cetera. And so we felt it important that we speak to you, inshallah, today about our stages of becoming a Muslim in our personal lives, what I've been through, right? And then how you go from there to getting to the point of learning about Islam. And then we're going to talk about this course. We're going to cover the fundamental principles of Islam, the articles of faith, and the advice that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He gives to the believers in Surah Al-An'am. However, today, inshallah, we're going to talk about partly my journey to Islam and how it was a struggle initially. So I accepted. Any questions so far before we? Nothing. But I accepted Islam my last year of high school. I went to Central High School. My last year of high school, I took my shahada. Around that time, it was a lot going on in my personal life. Before I became Muslim, I used to work with Abu Sajid, Saeed. We worked together in high school. I've known him since I was in high school. And at that time, I was a former athlete and a bunch of other stuff. And I used to come to him because we would work on the same job. And I'm telling you this because at the time, I didn't want to be a Muslim. So one day I came to work in high school, and one of my coworkers said, well, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, what do you mean what's wrong? What's wrong with you? This is... And so he started talking to me about Islam. Like, are you a Muslim? What do you know about Islam? And at the time, I really wasn't trying to hear it. I grew up Christian, and this was my way. This is what I knew. My family's Christian, a very strong Christian family here in the city. So I really wasn't trying to hear what he said. So when he started talking to me about Islam, I got defensive. So I was ready to battle. I'm like, no, I'm not believing none of that. In the meantime, I didn't know Saeed was Muslim. I didn't know he was Muslim. So we used to work together, and I used to rap. And I would come to him like, yo, listen to these new raps. Like, what you think about this and that? And we was around the same age. Well, no, we were the same age around that time. So when I would talk to him, he was real calm, collective, even killed. So one day, I'm sitting at work, and it was him, Abu Sajid, and there was a couple other Muslim brothers. They all stood up, and they went and they made wudu. They logged off of work, and they went to make wudu. And I'm sitting there like, man, like, what the heck are y'all doing? You know, we here to work, and y'all logging off of work so that you can go make wudu. So I'm looking, I'm working still, and I'm looking, I'm in the bathroom. I see water splashing all over the place. I'm like, man, these dudes is tripping. So after that, they make wudu. Like, where we worked at, there was a window. So in the window, you could look out the window into the parking lot. So I'm sitting there, and all of these guys, might have been like 5 or 6 guys, they all logged off of work, went outside to go pray. So I'm sitting there looking out the window like, Dad, that's crazy. These guys giving up. We come all the way up here to go to work to make money, and they logging off so they could lose money to go outside and pray. As a kid, 16, 17, looking at it, well, not, man. When she saw them go outside and pray, now at the time I wasn't Muslim. When she saw them go outside and pray, she said, they're all going to hell. And so when she said that, I said, well, dang, how they going to hell? They praying to God. What's making them go to hell because they said they praying to God? Why is that? And so she said, because they're not Christian, etc. So that was my first eye opener. Like, wow, this is what it's like to be a Muslim. Like, these were young kids. They were serious about praying. And at the time, I wasn't a Muslim. But I never forgot that. At that time, I left. And I want to say shortly thereafter, there's an imam in Philadelphia. His name is Imam Idris Abdul Zahir. He's the imam at what's the masjid? Masjid Allah. He and I went to high school together as well. And I used to always talk after that. I wanted to know more about Islam. And so he would pull me to the side, talk to him. Really good manners, excellent manners. My manners at the time was horrible. These guys' manners was mashallah, nice. And so one day I said, you know what? I want to go to Jummah with y'all. And so Idris Abdul Zahir, he took me to Jummah down South Philly, UMM Masjid. I'm in there, and the imam, and I'm getting to a point. After Jummah, I remember the imam said something about people wanting to take shahad. I was like, dang, I need to go take my shahad. I want to be a Muslim. I said, at that point, I said, I want to be a Muslim. So I stood up to try to walk over to meet the imam so I can take my shahada. And there was a brother praying, and he almost knocked me over because I walked in front of him. And then I'm like, what? Then I had to catch myself because I didn't understand you couldn't walk in front of somebody while they're praying. So I walk over and I talked to the imam. I think his name was Dr. Khalid Blankenship, if I'm not mistaken. So he told me, what do you need to do to become a Muslim? And the only thing I remember him saying to me was, you can't deal with women if you're not married to them. And at the time, I was like 19. I'm like, he can't be serious. Like, is this real? And I'm just telling you, as I became a Muslim, I said, he can't be serious. But I said, you know what? I need to be a Muslim, and this is what I'm going to do. So I took my shahada. At that time, I felt like my life was totally different. That was around April or May, right? So I went to school the next day with a kufi on my head. I caught it from everybody. Oh man, you a fake Muslim. You ain't a real Muslim. So I had to deal with all that. Right. After that process, I went to college. When I went to college, there were no Muslims there. There were no Muslims that I could know. Now, mind you, from May till August, I didn't learn anything. And this is the point. The point of this class is I want to be a Muslim. I didn't learn anything. I went from May, June, July, August. I didn't learn anything. I didn't know how to pray. I didn't know how to make wudu. I didn't know anything. I leave to go to college in August. So now I went to Clark Atlanta University in Atlanta. So I'm down there in the university and I'm looking around and I don't see no Muslims. Right? So I'm there. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm trying to, I want to be a Muslim. Remember, I want to be a Muslim. I just don't know how. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And one day I had a biology class. And I'm sitting in my biology class. And my teacher, I think he was from Sudan. And he said, hey, you in the back of the class, meet me after class. And I'm like, oh man, what did I do? So after class, he told me to come up to the I was excited about that. Once he said that, he said, okay, I'm going to come get you for the weekend. Now, this is like on a Thursday, right? So Friday night, I'm in my college dorm. I used to have a room where I used to cut hair. I rented out VHS. That was like a little hustle in college. I had to make some money. Had PlayStations and all that, right? When he called me and said, listen, I'm downstairs. Come outside. When I came outside to get in the car with my teacher, he took me to a city outside of Atlanta. It was called Columbus, Georgia. And while we're riding in the car from the college campus to Columbus, Georgia, he taught me Al-Fatiha. I didn't know Al-Fatiha. Mind you, I've been Muslim now 4 or 5 months. I didn't know anything. He taught me Al-Fatiha. When I got to the place, I think the brothers he took me to might have been Tablighi Jama'ah. Allahu Allah. We get to the masjid there. We spent the weekend in the masjid. I learned how to make wudu. 5 months being a Muslim, I didn't know how to make wudu until right there. 5 months. I'm sitting in there. I learned how to make wudu. I learned how to pray. I'm sleeping on that mat in the masjid. They said, you got to sleep on your right side. That was the first time I ever heard that in my life. It was so many basic things that I learned after being Muslim for 5 or 6 months. Didn't know anything. I come back to school, and he gave me a prayer rug. I still have this prayer rug to this day. He gave me a prayer rug, and at that point in time, that's when I started praying or learning how to pray. Tell you, let's fast forward it. So now I'm learning how to pray. Now, this is all the things that people deal with when they first become Muslim, right? Everyone has a different story. This is my story. So now I'm down in Atlanta, all right? They have an MSA there. They have a Clark Atlanta, like a little small MSA, Muslim Student Association, right? So I go there one day. There's me, and there's a sister I went to high school with. She went to school with me then. We were both inside of this room. It was me, her, and a few other people in there. I knew her, but I didn't know anybody else. So she's, we're talking. It was close to Ramadan. We're talking. We're trying to figure out what's going on. So the brother, he stands up and he calls the adhan. The problem was that he called the adhan in English, right? I'm in college. I don't know. So he calls the adhan in English. So I'm thinking like, dang, like I ain't never heard this, but maybe this is something new. I don't know. So he calls the Adhan in English, and then a brother walks in the room, boom. And the sister I was with that went to high school with me, that went to Clark, he told her, I'm not gonna put her name, he says to her, hey, let's get out of here. So she gets up, follows him. She looks at me like, you coming with us? I'm like, man, I don't know him and I don't know them. I'm not following you and I don't know. So I didn't just get up and run out the room. So she left with him. I stayed in the room. I wound up praying with him in English. And the only reason why I didn't leave, because I didn't know if they was on the truth and I didn't know if they were on the truth. I didn't know nothing and I'm not following nobody. So I'm going to just park my behind right here and try to figure it out. And that's what happened. I say all that to say, when we accept Islam, if we don't have people around us showing us how to move as a Muslim, we're going to struggle. I didn't know about Tawheed. I didn't know how to make wudu. I didn't know how to pray. And this went on for years. Fast forward it, 2000. I told you guys, Saeed and I, we worked together in high school. I was getting ready to get married around this time, and I'm at Masjid Muhammad, the Imam Suchuddin in Germantown, right? I was living in Maryland. I moved to Maryland at that time, right? So I'm back up in Philly. So I meet Imam Suchuddin. He says to me, I'm a young kid, right? He says to me, yeah, even the Salafis are starting to come here, right? So I'm like, well, what in the world is a Salafi? And he said, look at him. And there was a window there. And guess what I saw walking past? Saeed. I said, yo, that's my man. I walk outside. So me and him talking. He was like, man, I know you took your shahada. And this was like, yeah. So then we linked back up again. 3 years later, this is from 97 to 2000. I knew how to pray a little bit, but it was basic stuff about Islam we didn't know. We didn't know. And I say all this to say the purpose of this class is to let people know our stories is like some of yours. Just because we're in this seat today, it doesn't mean that we started out here. I had a long struggle, a long process. One of the brothers, when I first became Muslim learning, he's sitting right here, right now in the masjid in the back. Brother Yusuf right here. I got to put you on blast, Sheikh. You remember? I moved to Maryland. I was the young boy. I used to be around him. These brothers right here. The thing is, when you become a Muslim, there are things that we don't know. And the purpose of this class, inshallah, is to introduce people to the basics of Islam, holding on to it. And when a person becomes Muslim, it doesn't mean you become Muslim and you leave them there. No. When a person becomes Muslim, they need people with them throughout the process. You need someone to walk with you, teach you how to pray, teach you who Allah is, how to fast, how to believe in Tawheed. What is believing in the angels? What does that even mean? Believing in the decree of Allah, what does that mean? All of these things have to be discussed if we say we want to be a Muslim. There are a lot of people that are not blessed to live in an environment where Islamic information is readily available. Alhamdulillah, in spite of the violence and the things that go on in the city, there is an opportunity to learn. There is an opportunity to gain more information about your religion. So, all the way up until I went to study Islam in 2004. From 1997, where I took my Shahada, up until 2004, 2003, someone gave me a book from Sheikh al-Albani, rahimahullah ta'ala, and it was called Sifatu Salat al-Nabi, how to pray the way of the Prophet, alayhi salatu wasalam. When I opened this book and I started reading, that's when I realized I was making wudu wrong. It was a lot of things I just didn't know. A lot of things I personally didn't know. And then I got turned on to certain websites. There was a conference, and this is my journey, my personal life, right? There was a conference in Baltimore. It was called Me and You Want, remember? Happiness and Salafia. Remember that conference at Morgan State? There was a conference called Happiness and Salafia at Morgan State. It was in 2003, '03, something like that. So we went to this conference, right? So me, I still don't know much about Islam. I'm still trying to figure it out. I get in there and I remember waiting in line. And a brother asked me about a website. And I said, I don't know the website. It was what was the website? Selfiepublications.com. Remember that? Yeah. So the brother asked me, do you know about this website? And I was like, no, I don't know about the website. It was like 15 brothers in front of me. All of them looked at me at the same time, like, A'udhu Billah. And I'm like, what the heck? I'm a new Muslim now. Like, I'm still relatively new. I don't know. A'udhu Billah. I'm like, what? I'm like, what did he say to me? Right? All these. So now I feel some type of way. I'm like, well, Dad, what website is this? Right? Is this the type of website that everybody must know? Right? I mean, so what I'm saying is it's a process, right? People, when they come to Islam, they want to worship Allah. When you're a new Shahada and someone tells you this is the way you're supposed to go, you're going to go that way because you think that's what you're not going to tell me something wrong. I want to worship Allah. Most of us grew up Christian. When we accepted Islam, we wanted to learn, what is Islam? I want to be a Muslim. I don't want to follow this one. I don't want to follow. I just want to follow what's necessary that's going to help me get to paradise. That's it. And so I say that this is my story. It's a lot more details, but just in general, this was my story. This is what I had to learn and I had to endure. Right? Allah blessed me. I moved to Maryland. Right? At a stage in my Islam where I was trying to figure it out. And Allah blessed me to be around some really good brothers that took me under their wing. One of them in particular, his name was Jamal Muhammad Rahimahullah. He died. This brother, any issue I had, I would call him 24/7. His phone, his number was like on speed dial on my phone. To the point, and this is my personal experience, to the point we made Hajj in 2002. And that year, I learned about making i'tikaf in the masjid. So he told me, he says, listen, I'm going to make i'tikaf during the last 10 nights of Ramadan. So I was like, bet. If I could be around him, I'm cool. Because to me, he was better than me. So I wanted to be around him as much as possible to learn whatever I could learn. So he taught me Surah Tafil. And we made i'tikaf in the Masjid Al-Huda in College Park in Maryland. During the last 10 nights, we started talking, and he told me, he said, listen, I'm going to make Hajj. And I said, dang. I said, I'm not a good enough Muslim to make Hajj, man. Like, that's next level. So he says to me, he says, nah, I'm going as a guest of the king. So I said, dang, you must be a major dude. Like, who do you got to know to be the guest of the king to go make Hajj? And at that time, I thought, as a Muslim, you had to be like, one of the best Muslims, because he used to give the khutbah and led the salat. So I thought he was decent. So for me, in order for you to go make Hajj, you must be like a real decent Muslim. So he says to me, he says, well, now mind you, I'm still a relatively new Muslim. I don't know much. He says to me, you can make Hajj too if you want to. So I said, how? He showed me how to apply to make Hajj for free with him. Alhamdulillah, I submitted my paperwork and I went to Hajj with him. I don't know anything about getting on planes, going overseas, nothing. I made Hajj with him, and I had this small book that Sheikh Al-Albani wrote about making Hajj, and I had this book in my hand the whole time. By me going overseas with him, the very first time, he told me about students of knowledge. So when we got back to America, he left Maryland and went to Chester. And he came back. And I said, Dad, how you going to leave and not tell me you leave? I told you I always wanted to be around the brother because he was a decent brother. I thought he was better than me. So he came back And he said, the students of knowledge came. I'm like, what in the world is a student of knowledge? What's that? He said, students of knowledge, those are the people that study with the scholars and learn Islam. So I said, dang, how you become one of those? Like, where do you sign up at to be one of those? And this brother, may Allah have mercy on him, he was the first person to steer me in the direction of learning Islam. And I pray that any benefit that I benefit the Muslims with, I pray that Allah put it on a scale. I mean, so I say all that to say, this is my personal story, right? Why we did this class, I want to be a Muslim, is to give people the opportunity to understand we're real people too. Just because we give classes, just because we spent time overseas and we studied with scholars and this, that, and the next, no, we're still real. I've been through a lot before I got to this point. I didn't just start off speaking Arabic and understanding this and understanding that. It was a whole process. And the thing is, we're no different than anybody else here. The only difference is that we were fortunate enough to get accepted into a school that we applied for and none of you guys applied. That's the only difference. It's the only difference. So tonight's class was just an introduction about my pathway to Islam and go from there to studying Islam. And inshallah, this class will be about how to maintain, how to be a Muslim. Anybody have any questions? I was waiting on this coffee for a minute. He still didn't bring it out here. I gotta know somebody. I don't know the right people. But any questions? No questions.
Can they take questions from Clubhouse, inshallah?
Sure. I didn't expect that outburst. Sure, Sheikh.
All right, so if you have a question, inshallah, either raise your hand or send it to me in the back channel, inshallah.
At any event, when we get started, so when we actually start the class, we're going to start with the Hadith of Jibril. The Hadith of Jibril is a very important hadith. In this hadith, it educates us on how to be a Muslim. What are the things that are essential for us to be a Muslim? What are the things that we need to hold on to? Because at the end of the day, we could go around the city and we could wear labels. I go to this masjid, I go to that masjid. Most of us are really vulnerable because there's a lot of stuff we just don't know about Islam. And we're too embarrassed to say it. I'll give you an example. The tashahhud. You know how many brothers and sisters don't know the tashahhud in the salat? But they won't tell them because no one listens to you recite it. But some of us just don't know it. It was things that when I became a Muslim and started learning, that's just basic stuff I just didn't know. And I've been Muslim for years now. It's not like I took my shahada and learned everything. It took years. And if it took me years, I'm sure it's taking some of you guys years. You might not admit it, but I'm going to admit mine. It took me years. And so I say that to say that I tell people when you become Muslim, Islam is a marathon, it's not a sprint. If you think you're going to come out the gate and just knowing everything and doing everything, it doesn't work that way. It takes time, patience. Islam is a lifestyle. It's not just let me read this book. Let me go visit Egypt for 3 months and come back and now I can see. It's not even about that. So with that, if there are no questions, we're going to close out. Yes. Which degree? Secular degree or Islamic degree? Islamic degree is in judicial law. Islamic judicial law. Any other questions?
You nervous? You say you wanted to make Hajj in 2002. You nervous?
Yes, I was nervous. So when I went to make Hajj in 2002, I didn't know anything. Now, mind you, in 2002, that was right after September 11th. So it was crazy then anyway. I was with the brother, Jamal Muhammad rahimahullah, and I remember he and I were going to stone the Jamarat. The Jamarat are the 3 stones. So I told him, I said, listen, man, I'm going with you. I ain't, wherever you go, I'm going. So we walked over to stone the Jamarat, and I was a bit hesitant because the crowd was so thick, and he just floated in the crowd and disappeared. Left his shoes on the ground. He just floated into the crowd. Stopped. Yeah. So yeah, I was definitely nervous. Yeah. At that time, it was rough. Hajj was rough then. It was, yes.
You have to complete the Arabic course first before you go into other studies.
Do you have to complete that in the university?
It's a 2-year course, right?
So at Qura University, the Arabic course is 2 years, but you have to finish with an excellent GPA to even go into the university. So at Qura University, if you didn't finish with an excellent grade, this is what they say, it has to be excellent. Excellence like a 95 or above, or 90 or above GPA. If you don't have that, then they will not allow you to go into the university. And if you don't get into the university, they had a different program. The program at that time was called the Khasus, which was a specialized program for Arabic. Yeah. Any other questions? Like, no questions.
None here, Sheikh, inshallah.
All right. So then, when we start this class, right? Remember, the class is I want to be a Muslim, as many of us may not have been educated properly coming in. But the purpose of this is to let everybody understand Islam is easy if we take our time. Before we close out, I have to mention something that's important. Next Saturday, what day is next? No, Sunday. What date is next Sunday? January 2nd? Huh? What day is it? Next Sunday. MashaAllah. Jazakallah khair, akhi. Huh? January 2nd? All right. Next Sunday, after Salatul Isha, we're going to have one of the scholars from Mecca visiting us. His name is Sheikh Muhammad ibn Saud al-Harbi. May Allah preserve him. He was Saeed and our professor at Qura for 8 years. He was also the head of the College of Judicial Law. He also gave fatwa in Masjid al-Haram. He will be with us at IMFC for the next couple weeks, entertaining questions, giving classes. And so that gives us the opportunity. We don't have to teach for 2 weeks. He'll be here visiting the center. We hope that people will come out, benefit from the Sheikh, ask questions, whatever is needed in the community. He's going to be here for a while to try to help out. And that's it. Any questions about that? All I heard was No, next Sunday after Isha. Any day me and Saeed teach on, he's going to be teaching on. Yeah.
Sheikh Ali, can you repeat the Sheikh's name?
Sheikh Muhammad ibn Saud al-Harbi. Yes, he came to America 5 or 7 years ago. He was here for like a couple days. Well, but this time he said he's going to be for a couple weeks. He wants to help out. He's proud of what we've been able to accomplish here. And he said he wants to come, be a part, help out the community, etc. So, alhamdulillah. He's just going to be where? He's going to be here. He's going to be here, right here. Will he go to other places? We don't want him to go nowhere else. No, that's fine. It's up to him. If he comes here, you want to go somewhere else, go somewhere else. It's not that deep.
Sheikh Ali, we have a brother in Clubhouse who wants to ask a question. Bobby, can you unmute yourself and ask?
Sheikh Ali, my name is Bobby. I need help being a Muslim.
MashaAllah.
I'm from Philadelphia. I'm actually from Brickyard. I used to live right around the corner.
My family's from Brickyard.
Really? Well, I just need help. I need help with my religion. My story is kind of, I think it's complicated because I grew up in a religious family. My family were Jehovah's Witnesses, or they are Jehovah's Witnesses. And I know the Bible. I know the Bible back and forth. But there were different things that just never sat right with me in reference to that religion. And I was drawn to Islam. I'm always drawn to Islam. But I just didn't understand why, especially asking my parents questions and stuff, and nobody can answer the questions. But anyway, I need help.
So, Brother Bobby, when you get the chance, can you come down here? Do you know where we're located at?
No.
All right. So here's our address: 4075 Lancaster Avenue.
And Bobby, it's in the description of the this club, Imam Muslim Family Center Club. If you click on the club at the top, you'll see the description, the description, and you'll see the address there, inshallah.
And Brother Bobby, when you get the chance, we have a phone number on there as well. You can call the phone number or text the phone number, and somebody will definitely reach back out to you, inshallah. And we'll like you to come down, talk to you, and however way we can help you, inshallah. We'll be ready to help, inshallah. May Allah make your path easy. And alhamdulillah, I'm glad you reached out. Any other brothers have any questions? Any questions about the Sheikh coming in? Yes. So Sheikh Muhammad Al-Harbi, me personally, right? When I graduated from the Arabic program, I first went to the College of Sharia at Qura. When I was in the College of Sharia at that time, I was studying with Sheikh Abdul Majid As-Subayya. And one day we went to his house or to his masjid, and he told me that he didn't teach in the College of Sharia. He taught in the College of Qada, judicial verdicts. So I said, well, Sheikh, why didn't you tell us to go to that college if that's where you taught at? He said, because initially you didn't even want to study Sharia. You just wanted to study Hadith. So the fact that we convinced you to study Sharia, why would I tell you to go study judicial law? Right? So when I realized that at Qura, that was probably the strongest Islamic department or college in Qura University, I said to myself, well, I might as well go for the gusto. If I'm here, I'm not going to half step. Let's go to the hardest college they have. And if I do well, alhamdulillah. If I don't, at least I can't say I didn't try. Right? So I transferred to the College of Judicial Law, and that's when I met Sheikh Muhammad Harbi. He was the Raisul Qism. He was the head of the department. He was one of the students of Sheikh bin Baz, one of the students of Sheikh Uthaymeen, one of the students of Sheikh Abdullah Gudayan, rahimahullah, one of the students of Sheikh Abdullah Ayaf, and others. He also studied under Sheikh Saleh Fawzan. And he basically took me and taught me. I used to go to his masjid every day. It was myself, Abu Sajid, Jamil Finch, and a couple other brothers that studied at Qura. We used to come to his house with piles of books like this, right? In one sitting, we would cover Aqidah, Fiqh, Usul, Qawaid, everything you could think of. We studied with Lugha, Arab, everything. And he did that with us for years, like years, back and forth, back and forth. He taught me inside the university as well. He taught us in the university, Usul al-Fiqh, Aqidah, a lot of different things. So now he's not the head of the department anymore. He still teaches in the university. He gives fatawa. He works. He's one of the lawyers there. He's on the council that appoints judges to the country of Saudi Arabia. So he's, mashallah, he's decent. He's somebody that, people should come and benefit from if you could benefit from him, inshallah. He said the max 3 weeks and the least is 2 weeks. So we say he's going to be here at least 2 weeks. Those 2 weeks, we're not teaching nobody nothing. Huh? Yeah, 2 weeks and he's going to be teaching almost every day, inshallah. I said, well, Sheikh, how many days you need to rest? I just need 1 day and then I'm ready to go. Huh? He might not want to do Jummah. But I don't know. I'm not doing no Jummah. Anyway, any other questions? Huh? I don't know. He might. I don't know. Whatever he wants to do. I mean, it's his floor. Whatever you want. Yeah. So we're in the process of setting the schedule up now. But we're excited because I didn't expect when we just went over, we just made Umrah, and we ran to him, and he was like, we were telling him what we were doing, huh? We were telling him what we were doing in America, and then he pulls up his phone and says, "This you, Ali?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's me." Shake that. He said, "Yeah, we be watching your stuff." I said, "Oh man." So he says, "Inshallah, I'm gonna come." I said, "When?" First he said after Ramadan, but he wanted to stay for like some months. So I was like, "All right." So then I said, "Well, what's the soonest you can come?" So he contacted me the other day and said, "Man, I could be there the end of next week." I said, "All right, let's get it. Come on." So he said, "Alhamdulillah." So he said he's going to come next week, inshallah, and start teaching and try to help out the community as best he can. Alhamdulillah. Any other questions? No questions. All right. So we're going to stop with that, inshallah. Yes. What? Oh, Saturday. We have a lecture on Saturday. It's called the Rehab Clinic. Saturday's lecture is called the Rehab Clinic. That's a good question. He said, "Why are you guys calling it the Rehab Clinic? What's that about?" The Rehab Clinic is because a lot of us were brainwashed, right? A lot of us, when it came to studying Islam in this city, were brainwashed, right? So you need some rehabilitation. So we're going to give a lecture on how to rehabilitate. What are some of the things that you need to do to rehabilitate yourself from the cult-like mentality that's been spread? No, that's what we're going to talk about. Yeah, that's part one. Yeah, I know. Yeah. That's what we're going to do, inshallah. It's a rehab. Yes.
Now, the sister asked a question. Her question is, can you give any tips of how one can motivate their family to practice Islam?
Can I give tips?
Now.
So when you say motivate their family, are they already Muslim?
I believe so.
I think the best motivation is for them to see you. Actions always speak louder than words. We live in a society, man. It's like the show me state. We can sit. If I tell my family, you guys gotta pray, you have to do this, you have to do that, but then they looking at me and I'm not doing it. A lot of times, another thing I will say is make dua. Get up in the last third of the night. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says he's looking for slaves to answer their dua in the last third of the night so he can answer the dua. Another thing I would say is fast on Mondays and Thursdays. Fast on Mondays and Thursdays. Make dua for your family. One of the best places to have your dua answered is when you're in sujood. When you're in sujood, you call on your Lord. And the last third of the night, you call on your Lord. Nobody's around you. You get up and you make dua and you ask Allah to guide your family. And Allah knows best. Those are some things that may be able to help, inshallah, if we're sincere and we believe. And another thing too, is that when we make dua, when we call on Allah, we have to believe that Allah is going to answer our dua. We can't make dua in half step. We can't make dua and say, well, maybe Allah is going to answer. No, you got to believe it. You got to be certain. And that's one of the things of our shahada is certainty. You have to be certain that Allah is going to answer your dua. Now, any other questions?
And just to clarify, the sister did say that they were born Muslim, but they're not practicing.
Right. So then the answer will still be the same. You make dua for them, and that's just my answer. Somebody else might see something else, but Allah knows best. I think that, if we can get up, make dua for them, try to speak to them in a nice way, show them the beauty of Islam, show them what it means to be a Muslim. A lot of things that we suffer, and I don't mean to go off topic here. A lot of things that we suffer from is having bad manners. We have bad manners. Being in the city that we come from, the people we're around, we have bad manners. Our character, we have horrible character traits. We don't know how to talk to each other. We're disrespectful. It's difficult. And we make it difficult on each other how we talk to each other. So, and with that, go back to the issue of the Sheikh coming. If anyone has any suggestions about topics that you want the Sheikh to discuss or to cover, send us an email, send a text to the IMFC phone number about some topics, some important topics that you think that he needs to address. Also, when he comes, he's going to set specific days aside for the women. That it's going to be all women Q&A answers for them. I think it's like 4 or 5 days he wants to put aside just for the women, so that they can get whatever issues they have and get them out. Other than that, if anyone else have any questions, we're going to wrap up, inshallah. But yes. When does the rehab start? Saturday. Yeah. Well, depends on, What time is the rehab class? Yeah, 3:00. Yeah, so anybody think they're in need of rehab, come on out. If you found yourself stuck in a cult and you feel like that's not where you wanted to be, and you need time to break away and understand like what Islam is versus what Islam isn't, come to the rehab clinic. Anyway, we're going to stop with that, inshallah. Oh, yes. What's on the 16th, Sheikh? 16th of January. Sheikh, you want to come over and say all that? Yeah. 50 what? 5420. What? Just don't worry about it. Go ahead. Is it on here?
Is that 5429?
What's on 5429? Oh, there's a men's lecture on January 16th, 5429 Chestnut Street. A men's lecture. Yeah. What's the topic? Men talk. The topic is men talk. Is that an Islamic store? I don't know what the address is. It's a venue. It's a venue. All right. So we want. Yeah.
One of the people asked, is the rehab clinic or the rehab class, is that going to be recorded and is it going to be online?
Yes and yes. Yes, it's going to be recorded, and yes, it'll be online.
I'm going to push so you do this on Clubhouse as well.
I don't know, Sheikh. I don't know how I feel about these break-ins, man.
I hear you, Sheikh. You got to get used to it, inshallah.
Yeah, I'm not used to that. I try to run away, man. You keep pulling me back.
I got to snatch you back, man. People need to benefit from you.
Nah, not me, Sheikh. It's
a huge community of people that want to benefit. You look at this. Our brother Bobby is already benefiting from.
Alhamdulillah.
Look at the connections he's making.
Alhamdulillah. It's other people. Sheikh is. Alhamdulillah. I gotta go. We'll talk, inshallah. May Allah reward you, Sheikh.
Ameen. Ameen.
All right. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.